Hello everyone. On behalf of the University of New Orleans Alumni Association and the University of New Orleans, I am proud to welcome you all to the 2020 Homer L. Hitt Distinguished Alumni Gala presented by Ochsner Health. Thank you for attending our very first virtual gala. As a chair of the Alumni Association, it's rare that a day goes by that I don't discover another interesting person I've met or read about is a UNO alumni. They are everywhere. And while we can't gather in person this year, I am very excited to share with you the tremendous wealth of talent and leadership of our UNO alumni. We have a great evening of celebration prepared for you tonight, including our student musicians performing from the sandbar, as well as a fireside chat with honorees hosted by our very own alumnus, Mark Romig. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone that we are hosting a silent auction online tonight. You can bid on these unique items until 8 p.m. tonight, and your bids help raise funds to support UNO. To participate in the auction, simply visit www.uno.edu/gala. Stay tuned for our signature cocktail demonstration and a performance by our very own jazz studies students live from the sandbar.
Hi everybody, Chef Mark Springfloat with the Lester E. Kavikoff School of Hotel, Restaurant, and Tourism at the University of New Orleans. Today, I'm going to show you how to make the Distinguished Blue. All right. First off, we have our vodka. This is local vodka, 7-3 Distillery. We have some blue curacao, some cranberry juice, quarter of a lime, and I have some sugar for garnish. This is some fun silver sugar to go with the university colors. If you don't have silver sugar, don't sweat it. White sugar is going to work fine, or even turbinado sugar, whatever you have. So first up, we have our chilled martini glass, just a little bit of ice water. We don't need the ice water anymore. Highly recommend using a sink for that if you're inside. I'm going to take a line, rim our glass, and use the lime to get our sugar to stick. Now we have a beautiful silver-lined martini glass. Now let's assemble our cocktail. I have my shaker with some ice in it. All right, we're gonna add 1 part vodka, 1 part blue curacao, and 2 parts cranberry. To that, we're going to squeeze our lime into it. All right. Now we shake, and we are shaking, not stirred. Strain off. I like mine straight up. You could do this on the rocks. Beautiful blue color. And we have it. Our Distinguished Blue. Cheers.
Greetings from the Boeing Center at the U.S. Freedom Pavilion. I'm Becky Mackey, Chief Operating Officer here at the National World War II Museum. The lessons of World War II teach us the power of resilience. The tough resolve of Americans to do the right thing and achieve victory can be found throughout our museum. Take the story of the USS Tang, where submariners escaped from a sunken submarine and lived to tell the tale. And the story of the Tuskegee Airmen, the red-tail fighter pilots who turned the tide in the air war in Europe. We know a little bit about resilience here in New Orleans too, especially at UNO. Take student Jada Frazier. From Albany, Georgia, she was a student athlete in her freshman year at UNO during Hurricane Katrina. Jada is quoted by NBC News as saying, "I strongly believe that sometimes you have to go through hardship and change in order to become a stronger person." About her college career here at UNO, she says, "I don't think I could have gone anywhere else and become the person I am today." Jada not only completed her college basketball career here at UNO after Katrina, she also earned 2 degrees. Through your support tonight, the Alumni Association is able to provide scholarship for future generations to build their own stories of resilience. Thank you for your generosity. While the World War II Museum is open right now during the day to the public, Large in-person events are still on hold, so planning for this year's event has us celebrating the Distinguished Alumni Gala with this unique virtual experience. We look forward to when we can host you back at the National World War II Museum. Thank you.
Hello, I'm John Nicklow. Tonight's Distinguished Alumni Gala is a great opportunity to reconnect and remind ourselves and the community of our university's impact, both locally and globally. We have a lot to be proud of. This is a very special evening for the university. The influence of our graduates is profound and pervasive, and it's important that we honor our exceptional alumni. I hope that tonight's event will continue to build shared pride and reinforce the value of our beloved university. We've had a great week of activities so far, thanks to the efforts of so many alumni and board members and committee members, volunteers, and our sponsors. Tonight would not be possible without the ongoing support of our corporate and individual sponsors. This year's Distinguished Alumni Gala is presented by Ochsner Health. Thank you for your continued partnership. I'd also like to recognize a few key individuals. Richie Melanson, Alumni Association Board Chair, and Greg Sibley, Alumni Association Development Committee Chair. Thank you. And to so many UNO staff members who have made this virtual event such a success. Thank you. In spite of the pandemic, there's continued excitement at the university this year. We've been forced to reimagine how we educate and support our students, but that important work is still happening. This fall, our student enrollment grew for the third straight year, and that's the first time that's happened in 15 years. We saw significant increases in new freshmen from Metro New Orleans, new African American freshmen, and new graduate students. We are, of course, the only public research university in New Orleans, and we've made significant progress on that front as well. In the fiscal year that ended in June, our total external grant and contract awards grew 66% over the previous year. The university has also made a renewed commitment to making our campus community more diverse, equitable, and inclusive. We've always been a diverse student body, but our goal is to ensure that we are as welcoming as possible to our students and employees. We've already begun a number of initiatives, and we'll keep you updated on our progress. On the topic of fundraising for scholarships and related initiatives, we've set a goal to raise $10 million this calendar year, and I believe we're going to reach that mark. There is tremendous enthusiasm around our mission of academic excellence and access among our supporters, and they are stepping up to show that support. And a final word of gratitude to all of our alumni and friends. You are our most influential ambassadors. Your privateer pride and the way you talk about the university are vital to our continued momentum. We appreciate your partnership, and I can't wait to see what we accomplish together next. Thank you. Please stay with us. The highlight of our evening is yet to come. Please stay tuned for our awards presentation and a fireside chat with our honorees. The Homer L. Hitt Distinguished Alumni Award honors alumni who distinguish themselves in their field to reflect honor upon UNO, who provide service to their communities and their university, who are recognized for outstanding accomplishments and are a credit to the University of New Orleans. This year, we also have a Distinguished Young Alumna Award recipient. On behalf of the University of New Orleans Alumni Association, it is our honor to present the 2020 University of New Orleans Homer L. Hitt Distinguished Young Alumna Award to Ms. Sheba Turk. Sheba, who earned a bachelor's degree in English from UNO, is a co-anchor of WWL TV's Eyewitness Morning News. She is the author of the book Off Air, My Journey to the Anchor Desk. The inspirational story lets readers in on how she worked her way from behind the scenes to the anchor desk in a span of about 2 years, pushing through financial challenges and self-doubt. Sheba is a former scholar with Soledad O'Brien's Powerful Foundation, and she serves as a mentor with the organization. She is passionate about helping other people, especially young women, reach their potential. Sheba?
Dr. Nicklow, thank you so much for this award. It is an absolute honor and such a surprise. I will just be honest, I don't feel like I've done enough in life yet to be getting beautiful awards that look like this, but I will accept the honor with so much gratitude and humbleness. Thank you so much for this. My time at UNO was so special, and it's always an honor to be back and be recognized.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You'll hear more from Sheba during our fireside chat tonight. And now it is my honor to present this year's honoree, the 37th recipient of the Homer L. Hitt Distinguished Alumni Award, Mayor Tim Adams. In November 2019, Mayor Adams took office as Bowie, Maryland's first Black mayor. He is president and CEO of Systems Application and Technologies Incorporated, a company that he founded in 1989. SATEC is a professional services firm with origins in the high technology and technical support areas of the defense industry. The Maryland-based firm employs more than 500 people in 20 locations. In addition to advocating for the interests of small business, Mayor Adams is involved in issues affecting people with disabilities. His volunteer and philanthropic activities also focus on the armed forces and college success for minority students. He is a major supporter of Momentum, UNO's Black Male Retention Initiative. Mayor Adams holds a Master's of Business Administration degree from the University of New Orleans. Mayor, congratulations.
Hey, thank you so very much, Dr. Nicklow. I'd like to say it's both an honor and a privilege to be the recipient of the award this year. It was not my wildest dream that this would have been happening this year. So again, I'm somewhat speechless, but also consider it a great honor. You know, having come through the university at a time that was quite challenging, it's really a reflection of the ability the University of New Orleans has to impact the lives of so many. And so again, I just want to thank you for having the opportunity to be the Homer L. Hitt Alumni Award winner this year. Thank you.
Wonderful. Congratulations again, Tim.
Thank
And
you.
now for a very special portion of our evening, I'd like to invite fellow Distinguished Alumni recipient Mark Romig onto the screen to host our fireside chat with our honorees.
Thank you, Dr. Nicklow. We have a very special conversation ahead with our two honorees. It'll give us an opportunity to go a little bit deeper into their background and their love for the University of New Orleans and the impact that it's had on their lives. I'm a graduate of the University of New Orleans, 1978, came out of the School of Hotel, Restaurant, and Tourism Administration, and am loving our city even through this pandemic. We're doing our best to help bring back our economy, and I want to thank the University of New Orleans and Dr. Nicklow and the entire team for what they're doing to guide us through these very perilous times. So what I'd like to do is bring back Mayor Adams and Sheba Turk to the screen, and we'll have our conversation. I have some questions for both, and then some specific questions for each one. So let's go ahead and get started. And again, my offer to congratulate you, that's an honor for me to do that. Y'all are outstanding representatives of the university. Let's start, and I'll have Sheba go first, and then Mayor Adams, if you would follow up with Sheba on this one. How has your UNO education contributed to your professional success? Sheba?
In so many ways. And first, I'd like to say congrats to Mayor Adams as well. It's such an honor to be sharing this moment with you. My UNO education has done everything for my professional success. One class in specifically called Inside the Newsroom gave me the mentor, my professor, Kim Bondi, who led me into the world of journalism. At the time, I really loved to write, and I didn't know what to do with that skill. I was planning on being a newspaper reporter, and I had a professor who was in the broadcast journalism industry, and she saw something in me and knew that I could be successful in that world. So if it wasn't for UNO, I don't know that I would have gone into TV news.
Very interesting. Mayor Adams?
Yes, I think the important thing is I would not have taken the journey I've had to my career, to being able to start my business and all, had it not been for the education, the true foundation in business that I got from the University of New Orleans. As you probably know, I started out thinking I would be a chemist and did a co-op with U.S. Customs and realized that's not what I wanted to do. And so I entered the University of New Orleans, get my MBA, and it gave me such a broad perspective and such a solid foundation that it led me on a journey to where I am today. So it was truly that foundation of that education in business, in particular from the University of New Orleans, that really led me to where I am today.
Yeah, I would say that both of you have described your education as being a momentous movement in your decision to move forward. I would have to ask you though, what's your favorite memory of being on campus? Sheba, what comes back as, oh yeah, that was the best?
For me, it really was the ambiance. I love being on campus because it's out on the water, it's on the lake. It's such a beautiful campus. And obviously I grew up in New Orleans, so that was always an area that I went to just to hang out on the lakefront. So I really just like being on campus because it was gorgeous. You could walk out of class, sit down on the lawn for a second and just soak up the sun. That was my favorite thing.
Excellent. Mayor Adams, what's your favorite UNO memory?
I think some things never change. They say the more things change, the more they remain the same. My wonderful days, my memories are at the festivals, and I love music. I'm from New Orleans as well. And just being able to sit out behind the Student Center for all the opportunities we had for festivals, for music, and just going out to the lakefront and having that calming effect, but also just the beauty of it and the campus. So again, I see things haven't changed that much.
That's good.
That's so true. That's so true. What would each of you give as advice for a young alumni for the young alumni who are just starting their careers? What sort of advice could you give them?
Mayor Adams, I'll let you go first on this.
Okay, thank you. That's kind of you. First and foremost, I would say don't be afraid to fail. You know, that's one of the things that blocks so many people in their endeavors. So don't be afraid to fail. And secondly, make sure you pursue your passion. I think Ms. Turk is a good example of what that is when you set out to do what you have a passion for in life. For me, I developed a passion for business at the University of New Orleans. And that's what has led me to this point, as well as that commitment to serving others. So, and last but not least, I would say is don't let your career, or if you choose to be an entrepreneur, your business, define who you are. Remember, a career and a business can go either way. Just be true to who you are, and don't let it define who you are or who you become.
Thank you, sir. Sheba?
I love that. I'm definitely taking notes from you, Mayor Adams, as well. I would always say, trust your journey. My path that so many people don't know was rocky, going to UNO and through UNO, mainly for financial reasons. I came to UNO as a transfer student. I started at New York University and had to drop out because I couldn't afford it. I didn't properly know how to calculate what school I could afford. So I ended up back home halfway through my college career, and it turns out UNO was where I was meant to be from the beginning. I almost had to drop out of UNO again, right? Because I was running out of money. I graduated from school only because of Soledad O'Brien's Powerful Foundation, who was one of my speakers at a journalism class at UNO. So everything just tied together. And I think there were so many moments where I felt so determined to be successful. And at the time, I wasn't really sure in what realm I wanted that to be in, but that just trusting that even when things are going wrong, that is supposed to happen. That's supposed to be a part of your story. You'll get over it. You pick up from it, you move on. And then I always say, you don't hide that part of your story. Anybody who will listen, I will tell them, listen, I ran out of money for college like 5 times, right? You figure out a way to get back in there. And I feel like when you put things into the universe eventually will meet you. And that's how I graduated from school. So my piece of advice is always to young people starting their careers, trust your journey. Every moment is not going to be the Instagrammable fun moments, the successful moments. You're going to have a lot of bad moments and you have to push through those.
Thank you, Sheba. Thank you. You know,
That's-
there's a major push nationwide, including at the University of New Orleans, to create more diverse, equitable, and inclusive workplaces. In your opinion, why are these worthwhile efforts so important?
I believe that the reality is that, you know, we look at diversity, we look at inclusion. You know, every study that I've seen shows that diversity makes organizations that much stronger and that much better.
Mhm.
You know, that's the reality of that. You know, and I would say that, you know, we have to open our minds and understand with our hearts what that really means. Because, you know, I go by that philosophy that I've heard some talk about is when we talk about diversity, remember there's that inherent diversity that we all know about, and that's gender and race and ethnicity and all of those. But we also got to understand that there's a learned diversity. And that diversity comes from affording people opportunities from different walks of life, but also from different experiences. As you talked about a little earlier, you know, I'm so strong on supporting veterans, for example. Well, that's a part of that is because they also have a learned diversity, having traveled around the world, having seen how different things are done. So, you know, we've got a long way to go still in trying to meet that level of really making sure that we have that financial equity, the healthcare equity, you know, the educational equity. But that's what's so special about the University of New Orleans. And we talked a little bit about the Momentum program, is that it makes sure that we can reach out and try to keep, just like Ms. Turk talked about, I was one of those who, it was tough getting through financially. And it made the University of New Orleans made it possible for me to get through where I may not have somewhere else. And so that's why it's so important to me, and I speak so highly of the university, is because of that inclusion that it has, of trying to foster an environment where those who have at times been left out are included and given that opportunity. Because as we both talked about a little earlier, it's that foundation that leads to where you are in life. It gives you the roadmap. It gives you a chance that you may not know the exact curves and turns as they come, but it gives you the foundation to do it. And last but not least on that, I'd like to say, what I think Ms. Turk and others have learned from the University of New Orleans, and that's so important, is resiliency. You see, the resiliency to take on the odds, to take on the challenges, to not give up. UNO can be quite rigorous, but what it creates is that resiliency to continue to fight, to continue to learn, to continue to find a way to succeed. And so it's that resiliency also that is just so special. And that's something that we have to continue to cultivate when we talk about inclusion and diversity.
Thank
Sure.
you, Mayor.
Yeah,
Sheba?
I completely agree with Mayor Adams on everything he said. You learn to be resilient. And as you said, you struggle with financial difficulties as well. I tell that story so often because I look at young people who are thinking, well, how could I possibly be successful when I'm barely about to graduate from school for financial reasons? And 3 years later, right, I was on a news station where people thought, oh, well, her life must have been perfect, right, if she got here so quickly. So diversity and inclusion are everything to me. If we don't live in a world, a workspace, an environment, a school that's including everyone, well then it's not complete yet. And so working in news, I'm always interested in doing stories about disparities and inequities in our community and across the nation. And part of it is because of my story. I think if I hadn't had that one professor at UNO who said, hey, you should consider TV news. I had two parents who were very supportive, very loving, sacrificed so much for me to get where I was. Neither one of them went to college. So when it came time for advice on college and professional life, I really was counting on the outside world to provide me with that. And so that is my role now that I'm in news. When I meet young girls who I think, listen, or young men, you're interested in this, you're interested in writing. Did you ever think about TV news? Just think about it, because I thought, wow, I would have lived my whole life in a profession that I feel so at home in watch TV, watch the news, and never thought that that could be a career for me. So diversity and inclusion are so important. And I think that UNO does such a great job having a campus where everyone feels comfortable. And we have to talk about affordability, right? They make it possible for you to finish, to bridge those gaps in our community so that everyone has a chance to be successful.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheba. All right, it's time now to take a little deeper dive with each of you. And I'm going to start with Sheba. We've mentioned the book that you authored, Off Air, My Journey to the Anchor Desk.
Mm-hmm.
In it, you're pretty candid about your own challenges and feelings of self-doubt. Why did you choose to reveal those in such a public manner?
I think because it's the only way to do it. You know, when I got on TV, you hear so much about yourself because you're in the city and you're public. And so people are saying, oh, this girl must have had an easy ride or this or that or whatever. And people think that your life is super glamorous because you're on TV. They don't know that right off the screen, like I have a dirty hamper of clothes, right? So the thing is, I never was comfortable with people thinking that things were just perfect and great, and that is how you succeed. I met so many young people who were like, you never mess up. And I thought, what TV are you watching, right? Like the moments I've learned the most are the ones where I've messed up, had to have some hard days and go home and focus. And so I really wanted to write the book because I saw so many young people trying to follow my footsteps, and I didn't think that they knew the true story. They were following the artificial trail. For instance, that I wanted to work in TV and had to transition from behind the scenes. And part of that involved getting a job in Lafayette, Louisiana, that I didn't end up taking because I was lucky enough to be hired here in New Orleans. But so many young people kept saying, well, I just want to do what Sheba did. I want to walk into the news station and be hired as the traffic reporter. And I said, well, that's not really what happened. And that wasn't my goal. So I wanted people to know the real story.
Interesting. Well, a lot of people think they know you well because they see you on TV, but what is something that would surprise most people about your life as a TV anchor? What is something, give us some of that background secret there.
There's so many in TV, I think, that surprise people. When I go to the grocery store, people said, do you go to Walmart? And I'm like, yeah, who else would go to Walmart for me, right? Sometimes they ask if I have a bodyguard. We don't. And then we do our own hair and makeup. They think they're a team styling us. I'm like, guys, it's not that glamorous. I'm always like, come spend a day with me. And you know what they leave and say? It is that glamorous. I'm like, you were here for one day, okay?
What time do you have to be at the station? What time do you have to be at the station?
That is a big shocker. I wake up usually at 2:50 every morning. I go on TV at 5. So I get to the station. I eat a full breakfast, usually dinner, because it's the middle of the night. So I eat like spaghetti and meatballs or whatever I had for dinner. And then I put on my makeup, do my hair, and I read the scripts to prepare for the show. So people are always shocked that I wake up, yes, in the middle of the night.
Wow, that's amazing. You are skilled and polished as an anchor. We love watching you on TV. Surely you've had opportunities to work in other larger markets. By now, I'm sure they're coming after you. But why New Orleans? Why you want to stay here?
It's home, and the answer is that simple. I've always been here, besides the time I left after Katrina and the short amount of time that I went to New York University. This is my home. And especially when I first got on TV, my dad passed recently, but my dad was here watching me. My mom was here watching me. My grandpa passed recently. That was the most special part for me because I hadn't dreamed of a life in TV for forever. I think the excitement from my family made it worth it for me. And I'd never seen my grandpa really say he wanted to see me do anything. And when I started working in TV, he was like, I really would like to see you on the TV one day. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well then, if my grandpa likes it, then I like it. So that's the part for me. It's really my home. And New Orleans is so personal to me. I love our people. They're absolutely insane. I think there's things I say and do and get away with on the news here that other people will be like, this girl is a nutcase. And instead our viewers are like, she was crazy. We love her, right? So I just feel so accepted and loved here. And I'm beyond grateful for that because the journey would not have been the same if I would not have been embraced by my people, right? They're my people.
That's beautiful. Thank you. All right, Mayor Adams, we're going to take a little deeper dive with you now. And first, you're the CEO of a company that you started 30 years ago, employs, as you said, more than 500 people in 20 locations. How do you effectively lead such a large and diverse workforce?
Well, I first would like to say I think Ms. Turk's enthusiasm is quite infectious.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I say the same of you. This
Thank
is
you
quite
for
enjoyable.
that. I think that's great. And It's humbling. For myself, you know, I learned a while ago that it's about surrounding yourself with good people. And when we talk about leading an organization that way, is I've always talked about making sure that we put our personnel first. You see, as an organization that supports our war fighters, and that's what we do, is we have to make sure that the men and women who are out there not only get the best services, but that we provide them the quality of life and the respect that they deserve. So as an organization, we often refer to ourselves as the SATEC family. And now I've had people come in and say, well, you know, consultants, you shouldn't use the word family, that people have their own family and team. No, we're the SATEC family, and I treat everyone the same way. And I am just honored and privileged to have the dedication of the people who are within our organization. Though we're small, we're not insignificant. And what I mean by that is we have the brain thrust and the expertise to match any company within the country on the defense side. Many people are wild at how we are called in to support our armed services, our men and women in uniform in some very high level areas. But that's because we try to make sure that we treat everyone how they need to be treated. And it's about building an organization to last. You know, we've heard that expression before, but it truly is. It's about putting the people first, making sure that you give people all the tools they need to be successful. And then if you're going to give them the responsibility, give them the freedom and the authority to get it done. And so a lot of times when people ask me, well, how do you do that? I say, I just try to stay out of the leader's way. I try to let all of my program managers and executive team do what they need to do, and just try and make sure that I do everything I can to support them along the way.
Beautiful, thank you. Closer to home here at the University of New Orleans, you've been a big supporter of Momentum. Why is that so important to you?
I think we've all come to understand and learn that the conditions in which people come from their various backgrounds to the University of New Orleans are not equal, are not the same. I am one of those people that it took that, as we refer to that village, it took a lot of staff there, counselors, support, fellow students, to get through the University of New Orleans. And I was fortunate in that I was able to have the right people to support me. The Momentum program is focused on that. It's on making sure that people have the opportunity and the resources they need to be successful. You know, had it not been for others, I wouldn't be here. And I know how difficult it is. I think we've both somewhat talked about how difficult it is financially and otherwise. And I think we just need to focus on making sure that we give that support to those who need it. And we have to understand that in doing so, we're not just contributing to just individuals, we're contributing to our greater society. Because as we help people to get through, particularly those who are first generation college students, we create a legacy that not only changes their life, but the lives of all of those who come behind them. And so, you know, helping every individual student to get through means that we're making a contribution to our nation as a whole and to our world. And so that's why it's so important, because everybody deserves that opportunity and everybody needs the support to get through that.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we've been calling you mayor, and there's a reason for that, because you were the mayor of Bowie, Maryland. You were elected last year. You know, you've been in the private sector for such a long time. Why did you choose to go into public service after so many years in that private sector? And what positive changes are you looking to make for your city?
You know, that's interesting because to be candid, I was not looking to become mayor. And to give you a very brief story is, I got a phone call from my son one evening and said, "Dad, you need to come home." And I said, "What's wrong, sir?" He said, "There's a house full of people here, And so I went home and I went in, and there was a cross section of people from every walk of life in my home, and they proceeded to ask me if I would run for mayor. And of course, that shocked me. That was not something I was expecting. And as I listened to, particularly the young people, who felt that I've always tried to support our young people. Again, because maybe sometimes I still think of myself as one of them, but that's another story for another day. But I found it important that we have to give back. You know, just recently I was talking about, you know, for many of us, we talk about standing on the shoulders of giants before us, and that's how we've accomplished what we had. Well, I just felt that I needed to make sure I straightened my back to make sure that others could stand on my shoulders as well. Good. That we needed to create a society in the city and make sure that we put a foot forward that shows how inclusive we were. The city of Bowie is very diverse, and it's a good city. And I just wanted to make sure that we provided the leadership to keep it going that way, but also became more inclusive of our young people. You know, because that's our future. And if we don't mold, if we don't mentor, particularly in public service, then we're missing out. We're leaving ourselves a void coming behind us. And I believe it's about being able to provide them an opportunity. One of the things I've always said is, I don't think people should have to, quote, wait their turn. Mm-hmm. I believe if you've got the knowledge base, if you've got the integrity, if you've got the heart, then you should have your opportunity and your voice should be heard. And so that's how I ended up. I came from a family, my father was a police officer, with my mother as well, who was a seamstress at first. And then, you know, so I came from a place where it was 5 of us sleeping in one bed. I mean, that's my life. That's a part of who I am. But what it created for me was that sense that my parents always told me about giving back. You know, if you ask my kids today, what's the basic principles that I've taught them of finance, they'll tell you, budget, save, and give back. And if you ask them what's the most important, my kids will tell you it's giving back. And so that's all I'm doing is I've had a wonderful career. I've been very fortunate, very blessed. And I just want to make sure that I pass that on and I continue to give bck.
Thank you. Bowie's very fortunate to have you as their leader. But we have to ask you, what's the biggest perk you get for being the mayor of Bowie?
Well, I think the biggest perk I get is for me. And just being very candid, it's like I am the first African-American Black mayor for the city of Bowie. Now understand, the city of Bowie was a place where when it was first developed, when they built homes, African-Americans were not allowed to buy a home in the city. The city is named after Odin Bowie, who was a large slave owner. And so for many, it was a sign of how we had become more inclusive. So the biggest kick I get, perk for me, is sort of like I think Ms. Turk talked about, is people wanting to just come up and take a picture. And to have those who are a little older than I am reflect on how proud they are of the changes that we've made. And so I think the biggest perk for me is just the privilege of serving the people of Bowie.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we have run out of questions, but I have a feeling we could actually be here for another couple of hours. Y'all are just fantastic representatives of the university. I would like to give each of you one more chance to say a few words to our audience, and then we'll close it with some final remarks. So Sheba, would you like to go first and give a parting comment?
Yeah, I would just like to say thank you all again so much for this honor. Congratulations again to Mayor Adams. It's been so special hearing your story. And that's what I love about this so much. UNO is real. We're real, and we're telling real stories because that's what it takes to be successful. There is no what you see, the flash on TV, the glamour. That's not the real part, even this awards part, right? This isn't the part this is a beautiful moment, but it's your hard work. It's the company that you've built. And it's for me, for the plans that I have to be even bigger. Mayor Adams, I'm gonna bother you now with all kinds of questions so I can be a business owner one day too. But that's the part. I just want people to know that it takes hard work and it takes hard times. You have to get through all of that to get to the beautiful moments like this, where I think you get to take a second, take a breath, and actually go, okay, I'm doing great. Now what can I do next? And as you said, a big part of that for me is how can I give back and help others? So thank you all so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. And Mayor Adams?
Well, I'd like to say congratulations to Ms. Turk as well.
Thank you.
I think it's so important that I think she really summed it up, where it's so important about just being able to express who you are. I like that you are willing to share the truth about who you are, where you come from, because that is such an inspiration for so many. And you are an inspiration for many, and know that. And know that you're appreciated by so many people, because New Orleans is my original home. And yes, people do talk about you, and I've heard some great things.
Oh,
so,
good. I'm glad to hear it was good.
But what we have to talk about too, though, is making sure that we continue that process of where we are just two of many who are doing great and wonderful things based upon the foundation they get from the University of New Orleans. We have to understand that with the freshman class that just came in, with that surge, that we've got to make sure we reach back and that we do everything we can to support them, so we can have more Ms. Turks coming out of the University of New Orleans, that we can have that kind of promise for the future. Because this is all about not just where we're going or where we've been, but what's happening right now. It's present. And I'd like to leave one little tidbit on management style, because I think that's important. And in all things you do in life, I would say, remember, just be prudent, be patient, and be proactive. 2020 has been a challenging time for many. Be prudent in what you do, not only in business, but in your personal life. Making sure you think about where you're going, what you're doing, the decisions you make. Be patient. Don't feel you have to rush through anything. Don't, do the social distancing and all those things we talk about. But most importantly, be proactive. When you see something that isn't right, if you need to walk away, walk away. If you see something you need to speak up about it. Remember, we all have an obligation to each other. And that's something I learned from the University of New Orleans as well. As we sit here, it says a lot about the University of New Orleans that Ms. Turk and myself could be honored today. And so I think I will try to continue to be prudent, patient, and proactive, and make sure that I figure out how I can watch that 5 a.m. news in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Oh,
Have to get that stream over to you. Y'all have been fantastic. I feel like we've been at a master's class here.
Seriously, I was writing it. I'm like taking notes. I'm like, hold on. Prudent, patient, proactive.
I see another book coming. But thank you all again.
I love the enthusiasm, and
we so appreciate both of you. And I want to say on behalf of Dr. Nicklo, we want to thank you too for representing the University of New Orleans so well. And I'd like to thank everyone else for joining us for this unique event and supporting the UNO Alumni Association. And finally, a very important announcement: don't get outbid. The online auction is open until 8 p.m. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. Mayor Adams, Sheba, we'll see you soon.
Bye. Thank you.